making our Christmas memories. I've been working so much lately, I can barely find the time to sleep. Yeah, I spend my time running around, keeping people pleased. But this is my favorite holiday. It's a chance to start over new. 'Cause I missed you, so I'm letting go of everything but you. These are the good times with you. Baby, this year it's just gonna be you and me. Hang by the fire and chill. Isn't this how it's supposed to be? Making our Christmas memories. Oh, and I've been longing to hold you close. Forget about everyone else. Isn't this how it's supposed to be? Making our Christmas memories. Oh, oh, la da da da, oh, oh, la da da da, oh, oh, la da da da. Making our Christmas memories. I've been wrapping presents for you. I've been hanging marbles in the tree. And I've lit my house with Christmas lights. So you should come back home to me. And when we wake up in the morning, I'm gonna play those carols that you love. We'll be singing all the melodies until the sun comes up. These are the good times with you. Baby, this year it's just gonna be you and me. Hang by the fire and chill. Isn't this how it's supposed to be? Making our Christmas memories. Oh, and I've been longing to hold you close. Forget about everyone else. Isn't this how it's supposed to be? Making our Christmas memories. Oh, oh, la da da da, oh, 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 la da da da. Making our Christmas memories. Yes, these are the good times with you. Don't
Welcome back to another HNL Tonight show with the hockey coach, coach FRENCHY, directly for the before of country of Thailand. And we have to find two people tonight. We are trio tonight. We have to go all the way to Ottawa. The co-host of the Habs branch, your Sunday rendezvous, Marco Larrabee, joined us tonight. And then the co-host of the warm-up show, Monday to Friday, 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, with the prediction of each game in NHL, Mr. Enartab, directly from Toronto. Welcome back, both of you tonight.
Hey, Coach.
Hey, Coach.
I feel like I'm trapped in a little. I'm trapped in a little bubble.
Yeah, just be careful. Maybe fall
Christmas
from the
balls.
tree.
Christmas.
But you're
bubbles,
lucky,
yeah,
and
yeah.
Enartab's going to pick you up.
That's it.
Coach,
I got you.
are you guys as are you guys as stressed out about our hockey pools than I am? Oh my God, I'm going to have to be paying attention to this show, guys. I'm going to be monitoring the results as they. I don't know if King of King of Gamers is on the stream tonight, but holy cow, it's going to be a tight stretch.
It's going to be tight games. Yeah, tight games tonight. That's for sure.
We
And
have
it's
a
'cause of
couple
the
of games
goalies.
in the NHL today. We're going to follow up, give us some results. We're going to talk about the Montreal Canadiens tonight and the Toronto Maple Leafs are one of the subject. And then we're going to talk about something around the NHL, who are maybe the most surprising season so far. So we have a lot of things to condense here. At the end, we're going to talk about the Frenchy quiz. And that's what we have on the program tonight. But we have a few people show up tonight. And first of all, our friend Zeph Lacave is in the house. Welcome aboard.
Wow. Hey, Zeph, he was a superstar in the Habs brunch chat this morning. Zeph was on fire.
Yeah.
Good to have you again,
Yeah.
Zeph.
Yeah, our friend from
Great job. Great
Taiwan,
job.
Mr. Jeffrey Corey, is with us tonight. Thank you so much
Hey,
to be with us on
Hey,
this
Jeffrey.
beautiful Sunday night.
Jeffrey's always a superstar.
Our friend L. Ensign, welcome back, L, to be with the Hockey Nation Live show tonight. And
Welcome.
fans of the Carolina Hurricane and the Detroit Red Wings, Mr. KLS, back in the house tonight. Directement dans la belle province du Nouveau-Brunswick, New Brunswick, Mr. Yann Gionnet. Welcome back in the house,
Yes,
Yann.
sir.
Big fans of the
Yann.
warm-up show with all the kind of production he does every single night. Our friend update, Mr. RJ Calabro, is in the house
RJ.
tonight from New Jersey.
RJ.
From Illinois,
New logo.
back in the house tonight, Mr. Nick. Welcome back, Chicago Bear fans 97.
Hey, Nick.
And Al Motion, il est de retour avec nous ce soir. Al, merci d'être avec nous à The Hockey Nation Live Show. Following par
Oui,
Mr.
monsieur.
Claude Richard. Welcome back, Rick. Claude, thanks to be with The Hockey Nation Live Show. J'espère que tout va bien pour les
Welcome.
deux ce soir. From British Columbia, Vancouver area, Mr. Luke, a big supporter of the Hockey Nation Live Show, is with us tonight. Thanks, Luke, to join us for the great show we have for you.
How's it going, Nick or Luke?
I don't know. I always difficult time pronounce his name, but I said Joao Jacinto.
Yeah,
I think that's
he
the
had some
best
great
way to say
comments
that
on the
now.
Habs brunch video too.
Giacinto.
He had some good comments.
Here we go. So welcome back in the house. Good evening. He said, thanks to be with the Hockey Nation Live Show. Zev, he said, my hair is on fire, Zev Lacave. Be careful.
That's
Denis
okay.
Redrick,
We'll put it out
welcome
there.
back, Denis Redrick, another big fans of the Hockey Nation Live Show. Somewhere in South Florida State, Melissa Zabran is in the
Melissa.
house.
Hey, Melissa.
Moderateur of the Hockey Nation Live Show de retour avec nous. Welcome back, Luciano Graziano.
Lucky.
Hey, lucky.
We have a couple of results going on with RG. So that's first of all, the Colorado beat the St. Louis Blues by the score 3-2 on overtime. Hat trick for Mika Rantanen, 17-18-19. The Golden Knight lead after 20 minutes, 1-0 over the Boston Bruins. Mark Stone scored his 10th of the year. The Capitals take the lead now, only 4-2. It was lead by 4. The Jets are coming back with 2 goals. Pierre-Luc Dubois is 14th of the season. By the way, beginning of the third period, tie game between the Flyers and the Canadiens. This is the cup for the Connor Bedard. And then the Kraken, after 3 losses, beat the Panthers by the score 5-2. Net domination overall for that game for Kraken for them. Finally, crazy game between the Blue Jackets and the Kings. The Blue Jackets take the lead 2-0. Then they was leading 5-3. And then after that, 5-5. And then overtime, after a controversy call of the hit the hands of the Johnny Gaudreau, the puck bouncing, and Kevin Fiala pushed the puck in their own net. So that would be the 6th game we have tonight, Mr. Nartar Marco. Anything you want to add? One comments about those games, or maybe a team you want to mention before we jump in for the Montreal Canadiens Continents?
I just hope for a 3-point game in that Philly Arizona game. It's kind of the reverse, you know, like when you're trying to get into the playoffs, you're like, oh no, a 3-point game. But now, like for the Connor Bedard sweepstakes, you're like 3 points. So let's hope all those all those bottom dweller teams, they play tight overtime games. And again, that LA game gave me palpitations there. Like Jonathan Quick, I picked him up almost as a joke, and I forgot to bench him tonight, so that was pretty terrible. But great games tonight for sure. And I think probably the best game that I was is on right now is the Boston Vegas game. Vegas, man, like they're just finding a way to play tight games. The other thing, I was watching some of the Washington game, and similar to the game that we saw against LA, they're playing that 1-3-1. So really hard for Winnipeg to kind of break through in that game. So I'm looking forward to the Canadiens playing the Capitals, see if Martin Saint-Louis learned a little bit and come up with some better ideas for his 1-3-1 issue.
All right. Roger Delaney is in the house, following by Mr. Alan Barnes. Alan, welcome back, both of you, at the Hockey Nation Live Show. So, we have a couple of contests to do tonight. If everybody wants to have any question, don't forget to put the letter Q. That would be great for our panelists give an answer. So tonight we're going to talk about the Let's Talk app. We can see we are in the, the feeling, the holidays. We put everybody on the ornaments tonight. So that's what we look like. We're looking good inside of those ornaments, by the way. So that's good to see that. How many goals Cole Caufield is going to score this season?
Well, that was
I was
part
on the
of your
record this
subject
morning
today.
So yeah, I'm already on the record, so I'll let Enertap go first and see if he can change my mind, I guess.
Yeah, you know what? I think he's in the neighborhood of about 38 to 40 goals. I think that's a realistic goal. We got to realize that if you project it from where he's at now to the end, I think he's closer to 50 than he is to 40, around 47, 48.
47. Yeah.
But 47, yeah. But I don't think that'll necessarily sustain, especially after they get rid of some of their players. And
sorry about that, but a bad injury, a white cloud. I apologize for that one on TV.
Oh no,
that's
white cloud?
ugly.
Oh boy, yikes!
The knee band. Oh, ouch!
Jeez.
Oh,
that's the worst.
Sorry about that.
Maybe we need a musical intermission here.
Go ahead.
No, I think between 38 and 40 will be quite realistic, and I think he should be able to hit that range.
I was thinking 41. The reason that I wouldn't think that he would maintain the same pace is, most 45, 50 goal scorers typically score at least 9 to 10 games or goals on the power play, and Montreal's power play is terrible. So I don't think that it's sustainable. The percentage of goals that he's scoring 5-on-5 for a guy who mostly scores his goals from the outside, I just don't think it's sustainable for him to do that, not scoring on the power play. If he was a kind of guy that scored kind of like Kreider, like he scored all kinds of different goals, like goals in front of the net, things like that. But we love Caufield, but let's face it, all his goals are pretty much the same, right? So, I think comfortably, I agree with Intertap. 38 to 41, I think is quite reasonable.
And you got to keep in mind also, as I was mentioning before, they're going to lose some players around the trade deadline time. And so even though they're not necessarily going to be people that are on that first line, well, maybe Monahan or somebody like that, but it's going to change the complexion of the team a bit. If they start to lose a little bit more because they have less talent, it tends to bring everybody down a little bit. So that's why I don't think he'll maintain that projected amount and get the 47. But I think around 40 is very reasonable.
I will go over 45. I will go over 45 because he never stops in February 10. Whatever the circumstance, Montreal Canadiens, they did not play well at the end of the year. He continues to produce everything like that. He's number 2 best scorer in NHL since February at 5-5. So the guy is, whatever happening, he score. It's like everything. He said, "Oh, Austin Matthews will stop to score because of this." He's a kind of the sniper. What you see in the NHL are rare, but they find a way to get the puck in the net, whatever they have an opportunity. Like that. So for me, it's another player play over 20 minutes per game now. That's another big asset for me. Unit number 1. All the opportunities to continue scoring for me. Either way, it will drop. Now, of course, he has 16 goals in 27 game, I believe. That's game over 50 goal at the end of the, like almost like 48 and 49 goal pace right now. So I still believe he's going to get over 45 at the end of the year. In my eyes, if they have no injuries for him. But again, like whatever the team is changing, Monahan, he still play with Suzuki. If an injury happened to Suzuki, that's another big problem. And whatever he put on the winger, Anderson, Hoffman, Dach, everything, Caufield's consistent scoring. Send the end of the year. That's send last year.
Yeah, but hey, what do you guys have? I don't know if you've read this theory. It's a bit of a conspiracy, and it's not the first time. Like some teams, other fan bases say this sometimes, but that maybe at some point, Hugo will pressure St. Louis to maybe limit his minutes, not put Doc up there, so that they can actually limit his production, so that affects his contract, right? Like you've heard this in the Toronto market when Nylander or Marner, their contract were coming up. Babcock was playing him on the fourth line just to kind of moderate the amount of points that he would get, so he wouldn't get as big of a contract. So I don't think any team would actually realistically do that. But something you hear fans come up with conspiracies like that a lot. So if for some reason Martin Saint Louis does something to the lines that you don't agree with, no, like I'll tell you right now, it's not because they're trying to limit the amount of goals that Caufield is going to score so that he gets a smaller contract. I'm just getting it out there because I know inevitably that rumor, that conspiracy is going to come out, but it's not going to happen.
Yeah, and that's all it is. I agree. I don't think realistically they would ever do that because the counter effects of that, I mean, the players aren't stupid. They would realize that the reduced amount of time is for whatever reasons. And in this particular case, the contract, it could very well backfire on them for the future.
For sure.
So keep him happy, give him his market value, whatever. I'm sure we'll discuss that later on, what that is. It's just a rumor.
Yep. We welcome Randy Walkman. We wish the best. Another one is sick.
Feel better, buddy.
Hopefully you take care about yourself, Randy, and feel better about this. Bergeron just tied.
Get better soon, buddy.
Talking about conspiracy and talking about Martin St. Louis, maybe listen what Ken you said. And Martin and Marco opened the door this morning about Martin St. Louis struggled behind the bench. He didn't react, just 1-3-1. But I want to talk about more about the Martin St. Louis only about winning. Do you believe on that statement or not about Martin St. Louis is only coached to winning the game?
Well, I don't think he's I don't think he's no coach wants to go out there and lose the game. They have too much pride. The players have too much pride. I think that they obviously are out there to try to do the best every single night. And I think what he's trying to do is build that culture that we've always spoken about. With it right now, okay, they're doing well, but I can see as they lose some players that things might go a little bit more south, towards the end of the year, which is fine. But you can't allow a lingering negative effect to go through the entire organization. That's so contrary to what they're trying to build. The winning right now is not relevant. All right, it's good if they win. It's good that they're out there every single game, and you know that they're going to give 100%. It's great to see that, but you got to be realistic and say this is not a team yet that's ready for the playoffs or anywhere near it. And at some point, you're going to see them dropping in the standings as well.
Yeah, like. Since the training camp, guys, you'll remember this is something I brought up several times, is the really tricky thing about this season is that there's many conflicting priorities that management and coaching need to manage, right? So one of the stated priorities of the team is to develop. But another unstated objective of the team is to showcase players that they're wanting to drive up their value and potentially trade for assets. Now, a third one that I didn't really think about because I didn't think it was going to be realistic. Now, a third, conflicting thing is happening, which is all of a sudden we're winning some games. I didn't think that was going to be even a thing, But now that's a third conflicting priority. So enter tap, I agree with you. Like from the beginning, after I remember we were debating, during the preseason, and we're like, it's not a big deal. They didn't win any games. It's not about winning. And I was like, well, guys, like, yes, it's all about progression and development, but we got to win some games, or else it's going to be a toxic environment.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
but
yeah.
now we're kind of the pendulum is kind of swinging too far the other way, where Martin Saint Louis seems to be favoring certain decisions in game that are deprioritizing development and experimentation to win. So listen, I get that it's a very sensitive balance. It's like, think of Martin Saint Louis as like a mad scientist, right? He's got all these different beakers and he's like mixing different, amounts of like, chemicals together and hope that it doesn't explode. And he's just trying to find the right, you know, balance of ingredients to make this work. It's very complex. So I listen, I know it's not easy, but to me, it was baffling yesterday that you're supposed to have Dach play at center. We traded for a center. Everybody's well. He doesn't win faceoffs. It means we're going to lose the game. Yeah, okay. Well, we might lose a game, but that's okay. That's what this season about is. It's experimenting and learning.
Yeah.
So like let the guy play. And they're like, okay, well, try him a game. Try him a game or two, and then we'll know. Well, no, like he needs at least 5 to 10 games. That's fair, with and not only that, like 5-10 games with the same line mates to really understand what he can do. So, coach, that to me is the perfect example of, and you've mentioned it to your credit, like it's something that you've been talking about for a while. That Martin Saint Louis is absolutely coaching to win, and I am thankful for that. Like I do want to win some games. It would be torture if we didn't. But yeah, we just it's a fair question to say, is his competitive nature sometimes driving him down a little bit the wrong path in those decisions if the priority is to develop and experiment? It's a fair question.
Well, and then that's exactly the issue. Like you have to realize that sometimes to not only ensure yourself and in that position as coach, but also to ensure the benefit of the team down the road, it's almost better uh, uh, not to be out there to exclusively win every single game. And I'm not saying you intentionally lose, but
No,
you have to
you're
give your
prioritizing.
players their fair shake. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
You gotta experiment. Now's the perfect time to experiment with Slavkovsky, right?
yeah,
It,
yeah.
it looks like they might keep him the rest of the year. He might not go to the juniors.
No,
Put
there's
him
no
on the
way. Yeah,
second line. Put him on the first line from times. Just to give him that ice time, see what he can handle. Bring up a couple players from Laval and see what they can do. Do it now. Because if you lose, it's okay. But if you're gonna win, you're gonna also see what you have in your system.
But what you do with the players, like if you bring some player
Well,
Laval
they'll be
who,
gone.
I'm
They'll
sorry,
be gone, coach. You got to. They'll be gone. You got to figure that guys like maybe Hoffman, maybe
Dadonov,
Edmondson, Dadanoff.
Dadonov.
These guys
Yeah,
won't be around. Yeah, they won't be around. So
you
that
talk about
creates.
February or right now?
Yeah, no, no. As we move closer to the deadline, I think
Oh yeah,
this
this
is
is
all.
another. Yeah, yeah, this is a bit
Yeah,
later. But my point about winning is because yesterday he played with only three line. The Peseda anymore, Pitlick and the Jake Evans played 6 minutes per game.
yeah,
Jacky played 5 minutes the game prior that one over there.
yeah.
Sakoski
That was
again
that was a
yesterday
bit
played
different.
11 minutes. So right now, if someone tell me he's developing, I don't know how they're developing right now. Because right now he
Yeah,
tried to
I
only
agree.
winning.
yeah.
And that's my biggest
Yeah,
problem I have with the situation with the Montreal Canadiens. Like some of you said, okay, you should play Sakoski second line, first line, whatever it is. Then Doc play on the, why to bring him center, and then after two periods, bring him back on the first line. For me, all his
because they were losing.
action
They
right
were
now
losing.
is only about winning the game. I don't see other things.
Yeah,
How can you if you want to develop, Sapkowski have to play on the top. You have to play 14, 15 minutes per game. They have to be another way to put why to put Chris Whiteman on the power play number two. On the one you have Jacky, Cooley over there, Jordan Harris. You want to develop. You want to see when you're going to realize Jacky can become the power player one day or Cool, whatever it is. I think for me, it's a big problem for Martin St. Louis. Then he put that up on the power play number one right now because Monin is not there. Is it really that enough is going to carry on you for in the future? I don't think so. So what do you have in your personnel players? Anderson, or I just name. What are going to be there next season? Why not to put them on those situations to see what they look like? Not wait and March,
Yeah.
April when everything is over. So for me, it's really coaching. For me, it's a little bit contrary what he said at the beginning of the season when he said we're thinking about the development only from Ken Hughes, everything like that.
Yeah. It's weird. Like, what other fan base in the NHL would be like, oh my God, it's a bit of controversy that the coach is trying to coach to win. But you're right. Like, it's again, there's like I said, it's all about conflicting priorities, and it's hard, like again, like the GM has an agenda here, which is like Martin, like we have to be able to showcase these players, but I also have this mandate where I want you to develop these players. We put a lot of resource in our player development, so we want to see results there. And then on top of that, don't forget a winning culture is important to a successful rebuild. So, I guess that's why they pay the big bucks, guys. But those are three plates that they're going to be continuously juggling. The
Yeah.
easiest plate that they can just get rid of is the personnel issue, right? So when you get rid of Hoffman or Dadonov or Dwayne or whatever, then at least you eliminate one thing. Like, that old expression, right? Like, you can only control what you can control. One thing they can control is the personnel. They can get rid of those guys. They might not get the same return that they thought at the beginning of the year, but like we've said from the beginning of the year, sometimes you have to do the analysis of, okay, is the potential return I'll get for Dadonov worth more than the lost opportunity that I have to develop a younger player? In the business world, we call this lost opportunity cost. Like, that's an actual thing on a budget, right? Like, there's a budgetary number that you put to how much money you lose based on an opportunity you lost. And that's what the Habs have to do here, is understand that
Yeah.
by keeping these guys, you're losing an opportunity and you might not get that much in return.
Yeah, we'll see it. So we have a couple of people pop up, so we're going to welcome back. A Real Deal is back with us. Rick Kane is with us tonight, following by William Snyder. Maybe I already mentioned his name. It's not welcome back. And our friend for Winnipeg, Jet Dan Asham, is in the house, following by Pierre Martin. Pierre Martin back in the house right now. Glad to see you. Hopefully doing well with you back, Pierre Martin.
Yeah.
We have a question
Dan,
from William Snyder. What is the biggest reason I didn't play a good game last night?
Go ahead, Endertop. You're the goalie expert, right?
Yeah, I don't know about that, but I mean, he played well because, I mean, for the most part, he's only had a small stint where he hasn't played well, if you really think about it. At the beginning of the year, he was really carrying the team. Montreal wasn't playing as much. Then Montreal came along, and he really played well for a while. I mean, he's a good goalie. He's been that way ever since he was with St. Louis. The only problem with Allen is I don't think he's a number one goaltender at this stage, and he cannot play the type of games on a consistent basis that he used to before. So you have to really be careful with the management of his time. But I think Martin St. Louis also meant it when he said he's our number one goalie. There are no questions here, and we're going to be going with him whenever we have the opportunity. So yes, he will share the workload, probably in I'd say a 3-2 ratio at some point. But he's the number one, and he's a good goalie.
Yeah, I think William's question is, what was Allen doing last night in particular that was good? Like, to me, looking at his game, I find that when Allen is at his best is when he's controlling his rebounds. Um, you know, he's a little more quiet in the net. I know those are like catchphrases. I'm trying to sound like a smart goalie guy, but we all know that goalies are they're voodoo, right? Like it's very hard to analyze unless you're a goalie expert. But from my uneducated eye, just being a fan, I notice Allen is better when he's not moving around as much. He's a bit more quiet, and he's definitely kind of getting rebounds under control. Um, to me, that's the best. And like whenever here's what I look for when I to see if Allen is not playing well. If he's not able to find puck in his feet very well, for example, you remember that game where he let in that goal from behind the net against I think it
Yeah.
was against Winnipeg. I knew there was going to be a bad night. When he doesn't see the puck at his feet very well, it means that overall he's not managing his game well. So that's kind of what I look for. It's kind of like when Price, like when I watched Price, if he didn't get a shot within the first like 5 minutes, if he didn't get like and get warmed up, I would be nervous the rest of the night, kind of thing. So there's just little things that I watch for with different goalies. Like so, every playoff game I ever watched for the Habs, I would just always wish that the other team would get the first scoring chance, so Price would get at least a save in, and then I felt a little bit more relaxed.
Yeah. Ovechkin score for Washington 787, I
97
believe.
away, 97 away now from Gretzky.
All right. So that's the one over there. So Pierre Martin, the captain, surprised me. I thought he'll be losing more. Do you think that Allen, the trust factor of the D that is in front of him, important too?
For
Absolutely,
sure.
without
Like
a
it's
doubt, and
yeah.
and I think that was part of the game yesterday as well. I didn't think that there were that many opportunities for LA to get a second rebound. As you were saying, Marco, the defense did a good job as well of clearing the puck as quickly as they could. So those all are all contributors for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, the
Sorry about that.
relationship between you.
Just try to get all the things in the chat. Look like everybody is okay. Let's move on for my next now my next question for you guys. Dach, center or not?
Are we saying right
Go for it.
now or for future?
For right now and the future, where is like, do you keep now? He should be back at because we don't have money anymore. So do you being he should be back center or go to the first line as a winger?
Like I personally think that there's obviously a lot more responsibility with being at center. They have to think of the full aspect of the game. They have to view the game a little bit differently than you would as a winger. That's why he's had more success as a winger than he has as a centerman. I think we put a lot of emphasis on taking faceoffs and winning percentage of faceoffs, which is by all means extremely important because it contributes to your possession time, and if you're possessing the puck a lot more than the other team, you increase your probability of winning that game, or at least getting more opportunities. I think he should be tried at that position. He has to be given a fair shake. What I don't want to see is him going back and forth. I don't want to see him playing 2 games at center and then 2 games back on the wing, because that doesn't establish any sort of consistency, and that's really what he needs right now.
Yeah. All right, guys, I'm gonna throw myself out to the wolves here. All right, here we go. So first of all, I'm not sure. I think it's easy for us to say, like it makes sense, right? Like, okay, as soon as he went and played as a winger, then he suddenly started having success. Statistically, that's right. I think you can't dispute that his production got much, much better when he went on the wing. Okay, granted. But I don't think that necessarily tells the full story either. I didn't hate his game at center before he was on the first line. If you go back and watch the shows, I was kind of defending his play a little bit. And I didn't hate his first period as a center last game either until St. Louis moved him back. So I don't think there's not enough data yet for us to know anything at all. So we know
I agree with
that
that.
he does have great chemistry with Suzuki and Caufield. That's good. Comme j'ai dit à matin, on met ça dans le calepin. Put that in the notebook. That's some data that we have about Dach. Okay, he here's what he can do playing with those guys. But now we need to collect data about him playing center. And to me, there's no better opportunity than to do that right now. I agree 100% with Enertap that let's not do a yo-yo thing with him. Just let it ride. Again, fans are going to be like, "Oh my God, I can't believe they're playing him at center. Don't they see he's better in this position?" Okay, guys. Again, it's a span of 10 games in a season that doesn't matter in terms of results. So try to see the big picture. Think of the science experiment. It's a science experiment, this thing. So, you have to let the experiment play out. And really the only way to do that is maybe to feel a bit of pain, but it's not pain. Like, I really like what I see in his game at center. Like look at his zone entries. Very, very advanced zone entries. I think he has the tools to win those. He's a pretty good defensive forward, like arguably better than Suzuki at times, really. So
Yeah.
I'm not that and St. Louis system, like it's man to man in the D zone, right? So it's arguable that a center is that different from a winger. It really depends who you're covering when you're in the zone. So I say, yeah, just let it ride for 10 games and see where it goes.
Keep in mind that when they got him to be a centerman.
Yeah,
That was the
for sure.
prime job, or
Absolutely.
prime reason. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, going into the draft next year, you need to make it like, I know you never draft by need, but listen, like it's a pretty big decision, right? Like this is a big draft for the Habs this year. So you need to go into that draft with the right amount of data on the assets that you have. Is Dach a center or not? If you don't
Right.
have a good, kind of feel for that, again, like you might make a huge mistake, right? And prioritize something that you shouldn't be.
Yeah, I just want to consider what Zev Lakav said, Mike Hoffman, because he said that last night, and now he said that again. He's a machine of the turnover. I look on the stat for the Montreal Canadiens. Mike Hoffman he is the lowest turnover puck in the Montreal Canadiens behind.
In the
Only
history
two
of the
players over
Montreal
him
Canadiens.
is Peseda and Joel Armia. So the worst player with a turnover for the forward is Nick Suzuki.
I was
Then
about to
Kaden
say
That
Cooney
makes
is the
sense.
number one giveaway puck turnover turnaround
That
with
makes
there.
sense.
So I just want to sharing
Yeah,
this
that's
with
fair.
you about that one with there to be sure we give the right things and not set things where
Yeah, yeah.
it's not, I mean, like it's a turnover machine. He don't turn the puck, like I
Well,
don't
he
know
turned it
what
over
is.
like in the last minute of the game last night. To me, my biggest problem with Hoffman are his defensive zone reads. That's where he kills me. That's where he really loses
But
people.
again,
yeah.
like you look the stat, he's the best forward with no shot again versus the shot for.
That doesn't have anything to do necessarily with whether you're covering the right guy in the defensive zone. If you're reading
But yes,
coverage
Marco,
correctly,
the reason, Marco, if you do that, now you more do your time on offensive zone compared to on defensive zone. If you look about Josh Anderson, the biggest problem Josh Anderson with Nick Zuski and Cole Caufield, the shot again yesterday after two period was 11-3. It's French minus
yeah,
8. And what happening
yeah,
now? They're always constantly on the defensive zone, constantly
yeah. Well, you
because
have to look
there are
at
no
it,
chemistry between them, all three together.
but you could flip that statistic though. Really, what the statistic is Danault's line, and Danault particularly was suppressing shots 10-3 in his favor when he was on the ice against Suzuki. So you can look at Anderson specifically in that statistic, but really the real story of what happened on the ice is Danault is like a machine in terms of suppressing offensive chances in his zone. We know that very well.
Creating the turnovers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So to me, that's how those advanced analytics can be a bit deceptive, because Anderson, yes, was he, a positive, or did he positively contribute to killing a play when it was in the zone? No, but I think he was far more a victim of circumstance, of being on the line, being on the ice when Danault, who is like a freak when it comes to, ask Austin Matthews or Mitch Marner how well Danault can suppress offensive chances against the other team, right? So
We have a couple of people to welcome back. First of all, Mr. Boyle, I know, is in the house. Austin Allen, welcome back. And they have a couple of conversations before we go move on with other things. They bring some subjects, so maybe you can talk about what they said. Mr. Boyle, I know, said, let Kirby Dach play the whole year at the wing and build up his confidence, and then decide next training camp where they move him to the center or keep him on the wing.
like I said, I understand, okay, like building his confidence, there's value to that. However, we have a big decision to make in the summer as to whether we're going to draft another center or not.
Right.
I think it's more
Exactly.
important to understand the player that we have, and if he has that ability. And another thing to consider is that anybody can play winger. Like anybody can play wing. So I think we already know he can play wing. So there's not
Yeah.
very much to experiment with there. Hopefully, he gets. Let's say things go terribly with him at center, and guys, I'll be honest, he won't have the same production that he had when he was with Suzuki and Caufield. That's not going to happen, just because there's not secondary offensive weapons to play with him to the same extent, right? So playing with Slavkovsky or
Yes.
Hoffman is not the same as playing with Caufield and Suzuki. So don't expect that, success is not, he needs to perform and produce at the same rate that he
Yeah.
was on the first line. So I don't know,
But
he can
Doc, you
get
have
his
0
confidence
goal
playing
in
on the
the
power
last
play.
12 games, Marco, and you have only 2 assists
Yeah,
on the last 7 games.
Right,
yeah,
but you
I agree.
can't just measure everything by stats. I think that's what Marco's alluding to here, Coach. I think you want to see him this year, how he plays at center exclusively, because as we mentioned, we could, if it doesn't work out, that's fine. You could always put him on the wing, and it tells you what direction you should go towards with the draft in terms of players, or even if you're making a trade and you're trying to pick up a prospect, it could sway your decision making that way as well. You got to look at, if he plays center, you got to look at the little things, like, has he increased his face-off percentage? Does he play better defensively? The little battles, the little pluses and minuses in every game, and you keep a tab of it. And if it keeps increasing, then you know that he's slowly working towards being a permanent in that position. If it doesn't increase, then that's when you say that's fine too, because if we lose the game, we at least now have a better gauge of who he is and where he belongs in terms of positioning for next year.
Yeah, the
And
question
Coach, I
was,
know this is not popular, right? Like what Entertap and I are saying, I know people are, because they like to see and it's fun to watch those guys play together. So I understand why people want to see it,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it's giving us results right now, and but again, it's not about results right now. But I
No.
understand why people want to see it, but it's not good for long term. It's not the right move right now.
all right, let's
Sorry,
move on
Coach,
to the
I
next
interrupted.
one. Romanov is playing great. Islanders are doing better. Dak, good, but the deal winner is debatable. It's maybe the first time
Yeah,
someone
It's
bring
still,
Romanov in this chat, by the way. Nobody
yeah, it's
talk
because
about
that big
Romanov.
hit. He had that big hit, so he's
yeah,
a little
yeah.
bit more on people's radar. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, he's also amongst much better defensemen in New York. He's in the right chair there on that team. You got guys like Dobson that are having fantastic years. Pelech, they're all strong defensively, and he fits in perfectly in that scheme. I think right now it's still too early to talk about who won that trade or not. You have to look at this down the road. If you look at the two players, though, I will say this. There's much more of a ceiling for Dach than there is for Romanov.
Yeah, I agree. And in all fairness, is that really how you should be comparing the trade? Or is it really Savoie? Or no, sorry, it was Nazar Jr., right? What was his name?
Yeah.
The guy? What was the name, coach? The guy that Chicago got with the 13th that we got from Islanders? Nazar Jr.?
Nazar.
Yeah. So to me, that's really what we'll look back at, right? Is Dach superior to Nazar Jr. that Chicago drafted with the 13th overall pick that we got from the Islanders for Romanov? I think that's really the comparison, because whether Romanov is slightly better even than Dach, we have Gooley, we have Jacky, we have Harris. Like, it just made no sense to keep Romanov with all the depth that we have. So great move by Kent Hughes, because you're liquidating some of your surplus into something that you need.
That's right. Working from your strength.
100%. Like letting you answer every question first, right? I just build off what you say.
Sure.
That's all right. I thought you pick up other things in the chat. We're having more people show up. Because the Saint does not have a glass. I look at the game and I keep saying Hoffman give it a lot at potatoes about that one over there. I think you got, again, you're hard on Hoffman. Who has the most point when Hoffman play his 8 game? Other than Caufield, is Hoffman produce every time for he has 7 points the last 8 game, have 5 goals in the last 8 game, and you still hate Mike Hoffman. After Caufield, is the most productive player on the offensive side.
You're blinded. You're blinded by the goals, coach. You're blinded by the goals.
But again,
we know you're on the record that
Wait a minute,
Hoffman. Yeah, go ahead on
it. I was just going to say, wait, of the 3 of us, I gave him the highest grade at the midterm time.
But again, how many goals has? How many goals Josh Anderson have? How many goals Joel Amir has? How many goals Jake Evan have? How many goals Michael Pessoa has? How many goals Brennan Gallagher has? How many goals Ren Pitlick has? I'm giving you the 9th forward. And you still hate Mike Hoffman, but he has the most goal.
I don't think I ever used those words.
Nobody don't like Mike Hoffman. Whatever he does, you always point Mike Hoffman. But the guy's playing. At some point, why not to just, let's go Hoffman.
That's not true.
Bring everybody else in the chat and the hockey team.
That's not true. I never said I hated Hoffman.
All I've ever said about
Hoffman is he doesn't fit the Montreal system, right? You put him on a team where he's going to play predominantly power play, where you have other stars as well, and this guy will produce for that team. Like, he's produced for us as well, but he's also, as Marco's made reference to, he's made defensive errors that have cost goals as well. Just look at his overall plus minus and you'll see. And that's a reflection of who he is as well. So it's not a matter of that. It's sometimes players fit better under different systems, and he's not part of our future. So right now it makes sense to showcase him as much as possible. I'm loving it every time he scores because it builds up his value for trade deadline time. And so let's hope we can get a first out of him.
Mike Hoffman, everybody in the NHL knows who Mike Hoffman is. I don't even know why we're debating Mike Hoffman.
Canadiens have a plus and minus and the plus.
Coach,
who has the
knows who Mike Hoffman is.
Minus in Montreal Canadiens?
It doesn't matter. I don't care.
It's Mike Hoffman.
I don't care.
And again, you still playing him. He's not good on defensive zone. He has +3. So he's plus Hoffman. 3 right now.
You know why?
Strong Manian is -5 on that one over there.
You know why,
So
though?
again, you
I'll tell you why, Coach.
consistent stock again the guy, but he does good on defensive zone. Every
Okay,
time
but
he's
it
on the
only
ice,
comes
he have
down.
more goal. When he's on the ice, he have more shot on the net. So it's the stat does not
But his
count
name.
if the net data analytics doesn't count. Why? Every team have those information on the ice, but we still said no, that's not count because it's Mike Hoffman. But
Yeah,
what
because
is
his name is
other
Michael
players on
Hoffman.
the team?
His name
Oh,
is
wait
Mike
a minute.
Hoffman.
Hey,
That's the
look, when
problem.
he's doing this, it's great right now. Look, he's shooting percentage. The reason Mike Hoffman don't produce in Montreal, they put him as a defenseman at a power play. He never played there before. Secondly, they prefer to put Nick Zuski on the top circle versus Mike Hoffman. He played there for 12 seasons. He have 30 goals per year every freaking year. How about this? But that's Montreal.
Oh,
Like
wow.
and after I've said,
Yeah,
he
but
did not put him there
no,
because he's not the right share Montreal Canadian like everybody else.
yeah,
Coach
but
almost swore for a second.
look at
He almost swore.
Kovacevic. Kovacevic is at a +5. Does that mean all of a sudden he's our savior? Like, it doesn't make sense. You can't always look at that. You got to look. It's the eye test. It's about looking at what he does on a consistent basis, right? And again, I don't dislike Hoffman. I just don't think he fits into our plans for the future. That's the point I'm making. And so right now, you got to think ahead, and you got to think, how do I market this player so I get the maximum return at trade deadline time? Because if you're just going to sit him down and he's not going to have any value, then you might as well just get rid of him right now. Just put him on waivers and get rid of him if you have something against them. But I just, I mean, you got to be careful with stats, because you can make stats really dance for you if you want.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah,
package
yeah,
it
for sure.
in such a way that it fits anybody's arguments. That's all I'm saying with that.
Guys, just for the record, we almost made a coach swear, I think, on that rant. Almost. This is so close. So close. I could see it was right there. One day, Coach, maybe we'll get you to do a
Maybe
swear word.
one day, but again, it's just for
yeah.
me. It's like everybody, like last Saturday, yesterday, they was all jumping on Jake Allen after they gave 2 goals in 19 seconds. It was the worst thing we should have. And again, it's without thinking a little bit longer about the players. It's just we feel like everything like that. We don't have nobody. If Mike Hoffman is not going to have Montreal Canadiens, we have no other winger. What we do with Gallagher, what we do with Anderson, what we do with Pesada, what we do with Jake Evans, what we do with Armia,
Whoa,
and
you
what
can't
we do with
clump all those
Jonathan
guys
Drouin, what we
together,
do with that enough over there. And
Wow.
if we don't have nobody in
That's
the
a
winger,
huge.
so why not to bring other players? Because right now we don't have anybody good enough in Montreal Canadiens.
You're shocking me, Coach. You can't, by all consciousness, you can't be clumping players like Gallagher and Anderson in the same as Mike Hoffman, because those players bring other things to the game other than just points. So again, like, if you're just looking at things in terms of goal production, okay, I can't argue with you there. But for real, like, you're comparing those guys in the same category. That's not even this. It's like not even. It's like apples and bananas. It's not at all the same thing. And I can't even. How did we spend this whole time arguing about Mike Hoffman? Everybody in the league knows who Mike Hoffman is. It's Mike Hoffman.
Controversial.
His
That's
name
why.
is Mike Hoffman. He does Hoffman things. He scores goals. You're right, Coach. They should have put him on the right circle. He would score more goals if he was on the right circle. But guys, it's Mike Hoffman. Like, we're arguing as to how orange is an orange. Like, it's an orange. We can move on.
Yep. Let's move on to the next one. Add our stock. Anderson, Gallagher, and Armia. What do you do with them?
Well, they're all the same as Hoffman, apparently.
So that's what you do. So what happened with Montreal Canadiens now?
Well,
Okay, let's
I
attack
think,
these one by one.
yeah, one by one. Anderson, there could be a very strong possibility that he may get traded. And I think if you package him probably with a very good prospect that won't fit into our future, and I'm thinking of somebody like a Ryan Kidney, you might get a very, very good prospect back in return, like a number 1 type of prospect. So that's definitely on the radar. Gallagher, I think because of his contract, he's here to stay. and the guy just loves being here. And so as long as he doesn't regress, and this year he's redefined his game a little bit, he's playing a different role than he has in the past. He doesn't have the stats that he's produced in earlier years, but still he's a valuable contributor to the team. So I think he's here to stay for the long run. Armia, it will depend. I think at some point they're going to, I mean, that entire fourth line, I know you guys have talked about it before, but that entire fourth line for me is overpaid for what they are giving in return right now. With maybe Jake Evans is maybe Jake is the only salvageable one of the three.
Yeah. So okay, let's one by one here. I won't repeat everything you said because I agree with most of it. So Anderson is the most tangible asset there, right? So like similar to the discussion we had, I don't know if Coach we're going to talk about that, but similar to Edmondson, the whole equation that you have to make is his value on the team more than him what he can bring back in terms of as assets. If I'm assuming that's the calculus that they're going to do internally with the Habs management. My guess is that they will come to the conclusion that no, his on ice contribution isn't going to be more valuable long term than what he can bring back. So the question then is just finding the right fit, trying to find the right return for it. Gallagher, I think you'd have to eat a lot, but I still think his reputation precedes him. I think if you ate a lot of that contract, you might have like again, I was joking around almost a little bit, but like a team like Vancouver that was really looking to change their culture, I think they would look at getting someone like Gallagher, if the price is right? Just even if he was a 15 goal scorer, but what he brings to the team, pulling everybody into the fight, maybe a team like it is a long contract though, but it's not likely, but it's not impossible. Armia though is a tough one, guys. Like, wow. I wasn't a huge fan of the signing, but I could understand. I was a little baffled as to how we could sign Armia and Hoffman and not sign Danault at the time, to be honest. But because then that forced us to have to, not sign Kotkaniemi, and then we like all that, right? That whole thing to me is connected. That summer was just weird. But what do you do with our? So if your question is what do we do with Armia, the only thing that Sandy we can do is continue to work with him. Obviously, saying all the right things in public about pumping his tires and trying to make him feel confident, giving him the right opportunities. He has chances, like it's just I don't know, like he just needs something to bounce off his ass and just see what happens, right? Like I don't think he's ever going to be more than a 10 to 15 goal scorer, but a 0 goal scorer is not really what we had in mind, that's for sure.
We welcome TH is in the house. Welcome TH. We have
TH.
Adam Berger. Welcome back,
TH.
Adam Berger. And then we have our friend Reggie from British Columbia. Reggie, stop by, say hi to you about them. Let's move on now, guys. Do you see the Habs about bottom 5 in NHL?
Gonna be hard
By the end of the year,
I see them more
are we talking
7.
about?
I see them more bottom 7. I think 7 is more like it.
I'm just looking at the standings here. I mean,
so you got Columbus,
you got
Chicago,
Columbus, Anaheim that are below them. Arizona, the
Chicago.
Sharks. I think possibly
the Sharks.
Look at the teams that are behind them now. Like I still think Vancouver, Nashville, Buffalo, St. Louis, Ottawa, and possibly Philadelphia could overtake Montreal.
Yeah.
So that would put him. That would put him in the bottom 5 or 6.
Yeah, you did it the longer way than I was doing it, which is
Yeah. It's usually
Let me
my
just
way.
find the standings here.
Yeah. I mean, not much
So
separates these teams. Like we're talking about 2-3 points, but 4 in some cases.
yeah, like really, I could see us maybe finishing ahead of San Jose, maybe, or sorry,
Maybe.
below San Jose. 1, 2, 3,
Yeah.
4, 5. So yeah, 6 or 7 for me. I don't see how Philly. I don't see how Philly stays up ahead of Ottawa. Ottawa's gonna.
Well, they got the
You figure
they got
Ottawa's
the
gonna jump
goaltender.
up, right? Like they're
Yeah,
gonna go
they
on a
have
run.
to.
Sure. Yeah.
They've got too much talent.
Yeah.
And they traditionally do this, right? Second half
Yeah.
of the
Yeah.
season,
Once
they're
the
one of the
pressure's off.
strongest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once Ryan Reynolds is Deadpooling the whole thing, then they'll be fine.
So
Yeah.
7 or 8 or 6, 7, 8 for you guys. So he's not going to
Which
be at
is
the
fine.
bottom 5, right?
It's a good position to be in. It's a good position to be in because, again, that just dictates the percentage. It doesn't mean that you've won or lost the lottery yet. You could still win it in 7th position.
Yeah, and not just Bedard, but you could win the lottery in second position too, right? Like you get
Right.
Fantilli.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen a lot, but
Super Chat.
Super Chat and Rivers. Chop, chop, chop. Super Chat, Mr. Roger. Reggie, apologize. Reggie, thanks so much for the Super Chat from Vancouver, British Columbia, the Pokerman. Thanks so much to the Super Chat, Reggie. Glad to see you around, Mr. Reggie. Hopefully, you're doing well. And glad to have you with us tonight. So that's conclude this AB section about this. At least you have other subject you want to bring about the Montreal Canadiens. Both of you, if you have anything, just let us know before we move on for the next subject we have.
Did you want to talk about Hoffman? Do you want to talk about Hoffman playing PK? Maybe as a PK?
I would not put him on PK, but I would put him on the power play. And I will move
Right circle.
on Hoffman. I will not. It's just like he's on the right chair over there. I just like people, like I said, a lot of people are negative with
That's what I
some players
said.
in
No, I
Montreal because they don't conserve enough because they live in the past. Because Hoffman was this in the past. Because Hoffman was this. Because he did turnover in the past. Every time that we not give credit for what they accomplished with what they have in front of them. Unfortunately, for not only Hoffman, for Jake Allen happening last week, and then it's just up and down with that part. Again, it's not in the future. Hoffman is not in the future. I don't think so. Josh Anderson in the future, and that enough. The wine we can go all the way like that over there, and that's for me. It's just they will have to move some players around for the next couple of weeks. For the Montreal Canadiens, they have to find a way to get a first winger if they don't move Kirby Dach as a center. So would be interesting what happening about that. If you have anything else, the Toronto Maple Leafs are legit or not?
They always have been legit, I think. In the last 3 or 4 years,
I don't know.
they're one of the strongest teams during the regular season. It all comes down to the playoffs, and so you have to look at the team. I like their composition a little bit better. I like the fact that their goaltending has held up and done so in good fashion lately. But the playoffs is a totally different beast. And they also have to get that monkey off their back because right now they're doubting themselves, right? And it doesn't matter who they're playing. They could be playing Tampa. They could be playing Florida. They can be playing Detroit. That seed Boston, that seed of doubt is always there, especially if things aren't going the way they're going.
Wow, it seems some short memories on this panel. Coach, you remember I think it was a special weekday edition of the Maple Leafs meltdown show
I
that we
know where
did
you're
with
going.
everyone. Oh yeah, it's so
Yeah.
rare in life and it's up that I'm right about something that I'm not going to just sit here and let everybody forget, right? But I
Go
believe
for
I
it.
was the
Go
only
for it.
one that predicted Yeah. I think I was the only one that predicted that the Leafs would at least be in second place by the end of November. Everybody's like, it's impossible. So let's bask in my very limited glory for 2 seconds. Okay, that was long enough. So now, with respect to them being legit or not, Entertap, you're right. Like, this is a regular season team. Like we talked about in November, they had that really poor start last year as well, and then they went on a run of like 15-2. And in our last show about the Leafs, we're like, oh, there's no way they can do that twice in a row, but they did. So it's almost a carbon copy of the same as they did last year in terms of wins. The one thing that is very different, though, about this Leafs team is how they're winning. Their goals
Right.
against, I believe, is third in the league, if I'm not mistaken. Goals against.
Yeah, close to that.
There's a lot of defensive metrics that are eye popping about the Toronto Maple Leafs. I think, Coach, we discussed this in the last couple weeks in the chat, but one new metric or statistic that's very interesting that I like to look at is defensive zone touches by offensive players in the defensive zone. I was reading this article, and it's actually a very good predictor of playoff success. Something like the last 2 or 3 Stanley Cup winners, their top forwards were always in the top 5 to 10 in the league in terms of the most touches in the defensive zone by forwards. And if you look at that statistic for the Toronto Maple Leafs right now, Austin Matthews is number 1. Mitch Marner is number 3. David Kempf is number 6. I think they had 5 players in the top 10 of the entire league of forwards with defensive touches in their zone. I know it sounds really nerdy. Probably half the chat's like snoring listening to that, but bottom line, the easy way to say it is it's not the same Leafs team. They're winning in a totally different way. At some point in the month of November, I think they were 24th in the league in terms of goals for, right? Very strong goaltending. The goaltending has been way, way above average. And they were able to kind of somehow survive that whole era with no Samsonov and no Murray. You have Shalgren, I can always never pronounce his name, come in and do a pretty decent Shalgren. It's a shell game. Anyway, so I think, like Intertap said, it's still all about the playoffs. Like we've talked about, Coach, they're playing the right brand of hockey. The real question, though, is we know it's a totally different game in the playoffs. And what we mean by that is that it's very hard to get into the middle of the ice during the playoffs. You cannot get into the middle of the ice during the playoffs. So do they have those players yet that will get to the middle of the ice? In the past, Coach, you kind of called me out for saying, well, Tampa didn't have bruiser kind of players on their top 6. I'm not saying they have to be tough guys, but they have to be willing to pay the price during the playoffs. So have they become that? Well, block shots and also being able to get a stick in the ribs and still go the next shift after, right? That old classic thing, that story we've all heard a million times of the Oilers losing in the playoffs for 2 years against the Islanders, and the second time they walked past the dressing room of the Islanders and saw all of them with ice bags and shit all over their their equipment and their bodies, and then they're like, oh, that's how you win. And then the next year the Oilers beat the Islanders. It's the classic story about what it takes to win in the playoffs, right? So are the Leafs there?
Yeah.
Do they need 1 or 2 more players that will do that in their top 6? That's really the question.
Like, good teams will always have a line that will neutralize your best players. So it really comes down to the depth, and can that third line make the big difference? Right now, Toronto's third line is doing well, but I just don't know if that'll translate in the playoffs at this stage. Depending on what they do at trade deadline time, I'm sure they're all in. I'm sure they're going to make some noise and pick up, possibly a defenseman to go along with their current core. And I would say somebody with a little bit more playoff grit and experience that they bring to the table. And that's really what they need.
Yeah.
We have a couple of people show up. William McClary, welcome aboard. Nicholas Lawn is in the house. Welcome back, both of you. And we have Main Girl Hockey joined the Hockey Nation Live show tonight. All three, thanks so much to be with the Hockey Nation Live show.
Welcome.
So we have a question from Nicholas about what does the defensive or touch mean that for far from all the touch are equal?
Yeah, well, that's a fair question, but ultimately, I think on average, it kind of equals out, right? Like, so there might be touches that are less consequential, but it's kind of like block shots or any other metric, right? Like, or plus minus. It's not the it's not 100% accurate, but if somebody has 30% more touches in the zone, that means that they're just way more involved in their zone defensively than another player, right? So I don't think there's other statistics too, like zone clearances and stuff like that, that are more micro analytics. But as a kind of more generalized metric to understand how implicated forwards are in their own zone, whether they're 200-foot players or not, it's a very interesting statistic to look at.
Yeah, the touch exactly. It did. What you talking about earlier, it was the stat. It was out where it was. Toronto was 24 in October. They become number one and NHL in
Yeah.
November. And between those five players you mentioned, you have Barkov, and was number 3 in NHL. First was a Marner and Matthews. What the touch is about is, of course, they keep the puck position on your stick more longer. So every time you touch the puck on defensive zone, you turn around the puck all the way and you reset on the transition. So they was more involved in November compared they was in more passive, I would say to you, in October for the Toronto Maple Leafs. So they really became a team unit all together since the beginning of November. And I believe if you put all the pieces together, this is the best team I never see them since the last 6 years as they play together. You can see maturity by the way they play. And when we say the way they play, is they trust more each other. They play more as a team unit together from the top to the bottom. And the fact they lose players, the Brody, the Mazen, and the Riley, other defensemen step up, and that's a great opportunity for them to see what they look like. The Sandin and Lindgren, I'm talking about at the bottom. They got finally old Burn become a bit a good asset for them at the bottom six, and then it will be interesting what they get. What I said, what they need. I think they need a left defenseman. We talked about Jordan Manson earlier. I don't know, yesterday, whatever it was, and then they think they need a bottom six where talk about toughness, not about fighter, but a guy who can play on the 3 zone, play some kind of minute where it's a forechecking, back checking, a big line, like I would say to you, the Grayley and Minnesota with Foligno and Erickson, AK. I think they can get those kind of players like that at the bottom six. I don't say 3, maybe one of them that will helping where they at. The rest they have right now, they're legit to win really well in the playoff. Now the question for Luciano, the Bruins again, the Toronto Maple Leaf playoff. What do you expect for that series?
So just before we
chances are
jump
they
off
won't
the
meet
East,
in the first round.
yeah. Well, so one
Yeah.
other thing, just to before we wrap up on how this team compares to others, even the Leafs team in the past that have been successful that didn't allow a lot of goals, it was kind of like what we see with Montreal this year, where really top-notch goaltending was hiding a lot of mistakes. The goaltending has been good, but then again, like you saw, their performance didn't really drop when they had their third-string goalie in there, right? So
Yeah.
that's just another layer to consider. It's not a mirage like we're seeing in Montreal with the goaltending. So how that translates against the Bruins, Allmark is going to give them very solid, like, it's goaltending in the playoffs, right? Like that's really what it comes down to a lot in the playoffs. So it's an interesting matchup. It's not likely that they would meet in the first round, but if they meet in the second
No.
round, I I would probably favor Toronto in that series, to be honest, and just in terms of depth, right? Like you can say that the top lines kind of cancel each other out. There's probably a psychological advantage for Bergeron and Marchand because they've slayed the Leafs before, but I don't think the Bruins second line, like if you're thinking Krejci and Hull, um, I guess they have Pasternak there, so if you're playing DeBrusque with it's tough, right? Like, but yeah, so you're right. Maybe it comes down to that third line, right? Because then for Boston, you're looking at Zaka, guys like that. So I think Toronto probably have the edge there. Um, so it'd be a tough series, and I'm sure it's not one that Leafs fans are going to want to see. Or maybe the really brave ones want to be able to slay that demon, and kind of finally get past the Bruins. But if I was a Leafs fan, that's probably the last team I'd want to see.
It's not a good matchup for the Leafs. I
Yeah.
think Boston would have more depth than the Leafs. I think the goaltending is pretty much neutralized, probably in favor of Boston a little bit, and
Uh-huh.
and there's just that winning attitude in Boston. I mean, when you look at the return of Krejci, Bergeron this year, Taylor Hall's brought up his game because he's playing at the right spot. I mean, and the coaching as well. Like it's a tough matchup, and Boston plays a much more aggressive game than the Leafs do, at least from what we've seen so far. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if that's a good matchup for them. I think a team that's slightly on the drop, like Tampa Bay right now. Um, I think maybe
Yeah.
the Leafs should have had them last year. I thought they should have
Yeah. It's
taken
pretty
that
close.
series, and
Yeah.
unfortunately they didn't. But that's the team I sort of see meeting up and matching up with the Leafs in the first round, and it's an opportunity for the Leafs to, like I said before, get that monkey off their back because uh, they're ready. They're ready to fall. I think
See, I think I
Tampa
said
Bay.
that before, Coach. Like, would you prefer to finish first or second in the Atlantic? I think I'd
First,
prefer to finish second in the. I think I'd still want to finish second
Yeah,
because you're going to
yeah.
play Tampa instead of who knows what you're going to get. It's literally it's called the wild card, but it's a wild card. You don't know. You could get this really hot team that's riding this crazy streak that just makes it and has been
Yeah,
playing. They've been playing for like a month, like it is playoffs. Like, oh, that scares me. I would rather play against
finished
Tampa.
second.
Uh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
you finish first. You play you play Tampa Bay last year, or you play Washington Capitals.
Well, Washington, I don't think will be the team in
No, no,
that
no.
spot
Last
personally.
season, you finished. Florida
Oh,
finished.
Yeah,
last
yeah,
Florida finished first. They get Washington. Do you think it
yeah.
was better to start against Toronto or against
Yeah. Well,
or the Tampa
it's
Bay
different this
versus
year,
the
though.
Washington Capitals?
Well, it's different this year, though. I'm just looking. It can change year to
yeah.
year, right? It's never the same. This year, though, how things are
Right now,
being, how things look are going to play out. It looks like it might be
yeah.
better to finish second.
Right now, if they were first, they'd probably the two teams in the wild card right now are the Islanders and the Rangers. And guess what?
Yeah.
Both those two teams have fantastic goaltending.
Yep. For sure.
Yeah, but I would prefer to play against Islanders versus to play with Boston or Toronto or Tampa Bay.
I don't know. I
I
don't
don't
know
know with
because
Sorokin,
see
the
what
way he's
happens with
playing
Tampa.
this year.
Yeah. Yeah.
But do you
Tampa's going to be. It's
believe
going to be hard.
Islanders are better than Toronto, Boston, and Tampa Bay?
No, no, no. We're talking about
No,
Tampa
no.
versus, okay, so comparing
Yeah.
Islanders to Tampa or Rangers to Tampa, I'm not saying that they are a better team, but guys, this would be 4 years in a row. Like
Playoffs.
they're just not going to have enough juice to, like, they're just human beings, right? Like they've strained every bit of like juice out of those guys. They need, they're gonna do well. Like it's going to be a tough series, but I don't see Tampa going far in the playoffs this year,
Now the
unless they
question was the
really
first
change their
game,
roster.
the first round. Do you prefer to play Tampa Bay Islanders or the Rangers?
if it's
Yeah, so I said
it's
I'd rather
different.
play the
It's a
Islanders
different.
or Rangers.
Yes, I agree with that, but I think both those two teams are also very solid in the playoffs. They're
I don't say
different
they are not
teams in the
solid.
playoffs.
I just said the question was, if do you prefer to finish first or finish second? I would said I would always prefer to finish first. The Atlantic Division, number 2, number 3, are harder team like anybody else. Finish 7 or 8 in the wild card.
I think
Eh, eh,
every other year you would be right. It's just again, unless I see something different from Tampa, I just don't see that they're going to be as big of a threat this year. But if everything was the same and it was next year and they had a whole other year of rest and recuperation, I would agree with you. But I just
Yeah,
don't think Tampa's
what
going to
you
be.
said, Marco, is that Tampa Bay are less better. What the gap between Tampa Bay number 3 and the Atlantic Division is closer at 7 and
Yes,
8 this season compared it was before in
Yes,
the past. I absolutely
yes,
agree with you
exactly.
about that. But
absolutely.
Yeah,
again, when you
Yeah,
put
and
Tampa
that's the
Bay
point. That's
with
the point.
Vasilevsky, with the experience they have and they've been there before, I would prefer to play with another team on the whatever is the Islanders, the Rangers, or the
because
Washington Capitals.
you have to think of the psychology of it, right? Like Toronto probably came out of that series last year pretty confident. Like I know it was kind of a meme and a joke, but that whole thing where we got a lot of respect in the handshake line. I don't know if you guys saw that on Twitter, but that was a big joke in Toronto because it's kind of like this whole thing where they got a moral victory because all the Tampa players were saying, "Oh, you guys played really well. You were really hard to beat this year," and that was the big moral victory going into the summer. But it's true. Like they were very very close to beating Tampa last year. So I think going into that series again this year with the success, I think you would rather play them again and build off that success
Yeah,
than start all the way new with a new demon, the devil you don't know with the Rangers or the Islanders.
yeah,
And oh my God, now we have to figure this whole thing out again. The anxiety with no, Marner and Matthews, they need a comfortable situation
mm,
that's not going to crush them, crush their confidence. They need like to me, it's a perfect matchup for them as Tampa this year.
I
Yeah,
agree,
again, like
100%.
everybody, like Tab said earlier, and you guys, you said, a hot goalie can make its friends. Both team, Rangers and Islander, have a Zorokin for sure, and Tampa Bay have
Yeah,
Vasilevsky. If you compare
Right.
the three
yeah.
team versus Toronto Maple Leaf, you have a net advantage on the goaltender situation. So this is,
Well,
look what he
Murray's
did,
got a
Jake Ottinger
maybe
last
that's
season.
yeah, but again, like into your point earlier, Entertap, like for Boston versus the Leafs, I don't know if there is a huge advantage for Allmark, right? Like, let's not forget Murray's got 2 Stanley Cups, right? So again, for him, his big problem is staying healthy for a long season. But let's
Yeah.
say they play this right and they kind of like load manage him correctly throughout the year. Then if you have a healthy Matt Murray going into the playoffs, then he can go on a run. Like he's proven that, right? So
He could, yeah. Yeah, definitely he can. It's all about the health with him, I think.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely about this. A lot of people talking about this. Rudolph, welcome back in the house. Rudolph, hopefully you're doing well about it. What are we talking about the playoff? We talk about Toronto Maple Leaf. The question was about the playoff. Who do you think from last season does not make the playoff or that who does? That's the big question in the East.
Florida.
Good point
It's
about that
possible,
one over
yeah.
there. So,
Florida probably.
all right. Still
Thank
believe.
God.
Still believe at the St. Louis Blues and the Vancouver Canucks. If not, what they should do.
Ooh, spicy, spicy.
Do you
I'll take
believe
this one
that?
first.
Yeah, okay, go ahead, go ahead.
All right. Yeah. So with the Canucks, just because of the division they play in, you have to believe like they're not that far off. Colorado is kind of like just you hope they're not this year's Vegas, like just the wheels falling off with injuries and all that. But the Canucks, similar to the Senators, like they tend to go on a nice run, like at the end of the year here. So Spencer Martin's going on a nice little run. Um, so yeah, I haven't. You can't throw away the towel. And hey, just saying that like today compared to a month ago, I think that's such a cataclysmic start to the season, right? So it's a miracle to even say that sentence and be even halfway correct. So you can't give up on them just because of how weak that division is. The Blues, though, it just seems like there's a lot of things that are going wrong there, and yeah, I don't know if they're really fixable, right? Like Binnington, as coach knows quite intimately, is a really big problem. Sorry, coach. I know you probably have PTSD. I don't know what, but you're the one that wrote this question, so it's not my fault. um, so, so what do they do, the Blues? Because I just don't see how they can kind of get back into this. To be honest, um, Tarasenko is an asset that you can flip. Um, Talking about wingers that are going to be valuable, like everybody's been talking about Patrick Kane, but that might be a marketplace that St. Louis can play. O'Reilly, obviously, he's UFA at the end of the year, so really you have to look. And to be honest, guys, out of any other team in the NHL, the Blues have shown a great flexibility and willingness to pivot, right? To make big changes. Like we're talking, win the Stanley Cup with Peter Angelo and let him walk the next year, and not even like fake it too, right? Like they went and signed Falk while Peter Angelo was still there, signaling to him, by the way, we're probably not going to sign you. We just signed another right-handed defenseman. So
Well,
start packing your
it's a
bags, Peter
mistake.
Angelo. Yeah, maybe,
It's a
but
mistake that
to
they've been
me,
looking at for a couple years now.
well, I don't know. Like, see, that's the thing. Like, what have we been criticizing about Bergevin for the last 2 years, right? Like, it's hard for like put it this way. You don't want to have the reputation to be a team like Vegas where you're totally disloyal to your players like Pacioretty and Fleury. Like you don't want to get that reputation. However, you don't want to be so emotionally attached to your players that you sign them for deals that are going to cripple your team just because of the things that they've done in the past, like Gallagher,
Like
right?
Bergevin.
So with Bergevin, what do you do with Gallagher? So St. Louis, so far, I think and I challenge anybody in the chat or you guys to think of another team that's done a better job, maybe Dallas, of keeping like an older core of players, but also kind of retooling on the fly with young talent, right? So all that to say, St. Louis is not shy to cut ties with what you think would be a foundational player like um like
Like Ville
O'Reilly or
Husso
somebody like that, right? Yeah,
or
yeah,
Husso. Yeah, yeah,
maybe, yeah, maybe, or Binnington, right? So
yeah.
so to me, I think St. Louis is a candidate for a bit of a rebuild on the fly. I don't think they do anything with coaching. I think they love that guy over there. So that's my take on St. Louis.
Great thing about that over there. So, following that one, do you believe both teams are going to tanking? So, when we said tanking, not losing by purpose, but losing like tanking. Fact, like, okay, what do you do with both of that? What do you do with Brooke Bowser for the Vancouver Canucks? That's two names over there. The Saints Blues at Tarasenko finished his last year of his contract. What happening with Rand O'Reilly? He's right now become a UFA over there. So that would be the purpose of what my question following that team.
Yeah,
So basically, everything
I
I
don't
said
know.
wasn't answering your question. Sorry.
No, it was actually well put, Marco. I agree with that. I think Vancouver's a little bit more of a lost cause in the sense that they would have to hope that either Seattle or LA goes on a really bad streak in order for them to even entertain getting into the playoffs. I really don't see them overtaking Edmonton. I don't see them overtaking Calgary, even though Calgary has not played the best hockey lately. I think that they have enough firepower there, and if they can just straighten out Markstrom a little bit, they're going to be a tough team to contend with. St. Louis is something that you will correct in the off season. Right now, I think they're not going to be overly active at trade deadline time. I don't believe. The Canucks is a different story. There's all conversation simmering around Bo Besser, Bo Horvat, Brock Besser. Yeah, exactly. And possibly even Boudreau not playing out the whole year here. Like they're just waiting for them to go on a sustained losing streak again, and Bruce is gone. So they're a little bit more of a crapshoot here in my eyes. Vancouver, I don't know what direction they'll take. I don't see them finishing below Anaheim. I don't see them finishing below Chicago, Arizona, San Jose. So when we're saying, hey, let's tank to try to get a good pick, they're not going to finish in the bottom. I don't think they're going to finish in the bottom 10.
There's no way they can not move Horvat though, right? Because
They have to.
obviously they have to. Like you can't. That would be like a disaster for your organization if you let that guy walk for nothing. And it's clear that
Right.
for whatever reason, they don't think he's part of the future. So it looks like okay, they want to build around Hughes, Peterson, and who else am I missing? Demko. That's
Demko,
pretty much it, right? So that's your core, and I guess Rutherford wants to, build the team in his image, and you can't blame him. Like that core has done nothing of substance, really. Like they've made the playoffs once. Just for the record, I hope to God Montreal does not trade for Besser. He is
I agree.
He reminds me of a less productive Michael Ryder, like a very one-dimensional, snipey right-hand shot. Kind of what scared me about Toffoli. Toffoli ended up actually being more well-rounded than I thought. Like he could kill penalties and was decent, two-way player, more than I thought he was going to be. But to me, Brock Besser is like Michael Ryder 2.0, but not as good. So I don't hope that lands in Montreal, but it's clear that guy is going to move. That's just a matter of where. To me, Philadelphia makes a lot of sense for Brock Besser. They need to inject some talent on that team. I don't envision him maybe integrating very well in a Tortorella system, but it seems like a Fletcher kind of move. He's still desperate to try to, like, Philadelphia is a team that is refusing to understand that they need to rebuild. So they're going to just keep flailing away and trying to add players to try to compete next year. So,
But if you think
And then
about
we
that,
had this,
go ahead.
no, I was just going to say, and they had a similar question mark last year with Miller, right? And they decided to
yeah,
go the route that they did. I mean, statistically, he's having a good year, but if you look at his plus minus, it is not very good.
he's
He's
very
not the
Hoffman.
same impact. Yeah, he's not the same impactful player he was last year for this team.
Yeah, they have some team like Montreal been there where they finish at the good enough to make barely the playoff or not good enough to not make the playoff, and they're still between
Bubble.
the worst
Yeah.
thing in NHL is between 16 to 23 every second year.
Tweeners. Yeah.
And you go there. I think right now that's what they should do. I think at Brock Bozer, you can get a good prospect in return, or at least a first round pick in return. Bo Horvat, that gave them a 2-3 prospect,
Oh, yeah.
including a first round pick, a second round pick, and another first round pick in the past. So right there, it's a good start to rebuild the team over there. If they want to go that direction with there. And I believe with Montreal Canadiens outgoing the team is going to be a 7, 8, 9, 7. You know what I mean? Like I think they're going to be at the bottom 10 at the end of the year if they go that direction. So fire Bo Horvat and fire Brock Bozer. So that's really when it was a question what he should do. I would go down and then to go to the next level and then fire other players. Of course, we have a bad contract they have over there. But I think the two organizations right now, they have to figure out, because honestly, this weekend, for me, I learned one thing about them. It's out for them. They're not going to come back. It's impossible.
Who,
Um,
Vancouver or sorry, Blues? Who?
go ahead.
I
Both?
think both.
Sorry, which
I
team are
think
you
both.
saying is out? Both are out.
Vancouver for sure.
Again, Canucks.
Vancouver for sure.
Let's just. I see Seattle. Like again, if you watch Seattle, it's not impossible that those guys could dip a little bit, right? So I think there's a little bit more of a window for Vancouver than St. Louis, but it's a long shot. Just one thing, Coach, that you made me think of when you explained that. I think it was Brian Burke that had a great comment about where you should be as a team is whichever path that you're on, you need to be fast. You have to be moving quickly towards getting bad quickly, or you should be moving quickly towards getting good. But being in the middle is the worst thing, right? Like kind of like the Calgary Flames in the early 2000s, like just being in those tweener teams. So you got to be in a hurry getting good or be in a hurry getting bad so that you can eventually get good, or else you just get stuck in the middle.
Yeah, absolutely. A
Yeah.
lot of good
Sounds
comments in the chat. Randy V is in the house. Welcome back, Randy. And then going to finish with this question for you guys. NHL players, best season so far. Which player you really like? Your expectation, they play better. Your expectation. Any team, any players you feel like you can mention. You can be two or three of them. It's no matter. And the chat people can add some players
Oh
so we can
wow.
have those kind of conversation.
There's all sorts when you stop to
Yeah.
think about it. The first one that pops in my
That's
mind is Winnipeg, and I think a lot of that is attributable to the play of Hellebuck and also Morrissey, who's having a Norris type of year so far. I think he's got over 30 points in whatever 25, 26 games. But it's the team as a whole. They're getting scoring from different players. It's not always their top line, and they're doing all of this without Ehlers. Imagine when he comes back,
yeah.
he gives them a little bit more depth. Now here's a team that I believe will try to hit a home run at trade deadline time. They're going to go after a big name. They know that they're not going to duplicate this kind of a year again next year, especially if somebody like Dubois wants out. And this is your window. You have to go for it. And I wouldn't put it past them trying to get Joel Edmondson out of Montreal. That would really solidify an already sound
Yeah.
defense.
Well, listen, like it's clear that Cheveldayoff was watching HNL prediction show in the fall when Marco Larrabee predicted the Winnipeg Jets as one of the dark horses to make the playoffs this season. So, Mr. Cheveldayoff, I'm hoping that my check is in the mail. But Enertop, I think you're right. Like, definitely poised to make a move here, right? Like, I think you're 100% nailed it. That they have an aging core there with Wheeler, and this might be their last kind of kick at the can, right? So we'll see. But to me, again, this question is so like wow, you can go so many different directions with it. But I will say that to me, let's talk about Hart Trophy. Who is the best player, most valuable player in the league? I saw some people mention it in the chat, so I agree with them. I'll say Mitch Marner. Hard to say as a Habs fan, but man, like, is he just been not just because of the point streak, but just because of how complete his game has been? It's really hard to say that it can't be Mitch Marner. Honestly, I get Hellebuck has a strong case, but it's not like Winnipeg is still playing pretty solid hockey with Rick Bonus's system. So I don't think they would have as good of a record as they have without Hellebuck. But I don't think it's kind of like a Shesterkin thing where he was like, just really carrying the Rangers, or the Rangers look way better
Yeah.
because of Shesterkin. Like, I think there's a symbiosis there between how good Winnipeg is playing defensively and how well Hellebuck is playing. So to me, Marner is, again, we'll see if he can maintain it, but to me, he would be probably the winning the Hart Trophy so far this season. You know,
We're
again,
we're
that
going
can go
back
into,
to
no?
Matthews last year, right? And
What do you
right
mean?
now, there's I don't know. In my mind, there's one player and one player only, and that's McDavid. Like we take him for granted year in and year out, and what he's accomplishing this year, especially now that Evander Kane is out of the lineup, is just simply
You mean
amazing. And
you
this is
mean
not a
having
team
a
that's
14-12 record? You mean like barely in the playoffs? Yeah.
well, regardless of the record, even more so.
Well,
Like if you're
but
playing for a
what
team
game are we
that's
playing?
whose record
We're playing
we're
hockey, right?
talking
Like
about
we're
the Hart Trophy, right? The Hart Trophy
yeah,
is
but
the most
we're playing
valuable
about
player.
playing the game of hockey, not just scoring points. Like, you know, like to
Well,
me,
he's
we just
complete.
we just spent,
What part
but
of
we just
McDavid's
talked for the
game
last
is not?
40 minutes. But we just talked for the last 40 minutes about how amazing Toronto's complete game is and how amazing that is. To me, Marner is the main reason for that. He is the guy that's leading the culture of that.
No doubt
And
about
Toronto is
it.
like arguably,
For the first time, I'm not involved. I'm just like, I love it. I love that. I love keep constant. I love it.
Oh, dun-dun-dun.
that was
Yeah,
funny.
no, it's definitely what he's doing is amazing for Toronto.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Is he in the conversation? Yes, for a Hart Trophy. Do I think he's the winner if the season were to end today? I'd say no. I think McDavid is the complete
Coach, we're all
package.
waiting. We're all waiting for your take on that one.
We
And
welcome back
you can
Alexandre
use
Maillard.
coach,
Apologize. And Yamamoto.
coach.
Yamamoto
You can
Kamashimoto, Mr. Nartap. So, but again, Mr. Nartap, I know I cut you, but I have a question only for you, not for Marco. All the four teams
you
right now on the top division, which team are
yeah.
going to lose at the first round, Mr. Nartap?
Yeah. Oh, well, what do we got? We got Boston, we got the Devils,
The Winnipeg
Winnipeg,
Jets and the
or
Vegas Golden
Vegas.
Knights.
Oh, wow. Oh, if I had to say out of the four teams that are currently in first, who would probably lose in the first round?
Yep.
And again, it's no disrespect to the team because I think they're doing everything right and they're moving in the right direction. But right now, they just don't have the experience. I would say New Jersey.
All right. You are wrong because it was my dog, us. I will go with Winnipeg Jets. But
No.
I think about that. Just
Winnipeg,
give you guys the NHL player best season so far. I think I was my question was a bit more about the surprising players, what they was like.
yeah,
I was not expect at the beginning, right? And for me, I have to go with Linus Ullmark, the goaltender for the Boston Bruins. He have an amazing. Right now, he is right the Chesterkin season he has right now, number wise compared last season. People talk about Krejcik, Bergeron, Pasternak, McAvoy, Marchand, everything like that. But if you look about the stat, he's dominate every categories as a goaltender and NHL. If you are telling me he's going to be the best goaltender right now today, it was Linus Ullmark. I would say, well, no, I don't believe you at all. So I just want to give you another perspective of what you mentioned to you. I don't say, Tage Thompson, Marner, and other players have a lot of good season. A lot of good insert, by the way, in the chat. But for me, Linus Ullmark is really, I'm really surprised at what he accomplished so far.
Interesting. I don't know. Like for me, the most surprising player, God, I can't for some reason his name is escaping me, but the
in
defenseman
good way or
from
bad way?
Winnipeg. No, in a good way. No, it's
Morrissey?
like,
Morrissey?
I would say,
Yeah.
I'd say Morrissey's probably the most surprising. Like
Under
he's
the Jets.
what, third?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
So
he's
look
like
like they win
third
the
in.
Stanley Cup in our top.
No, but they're a team that at the
So
beginning of the
far,
year,
so most
I don't think
surprising.
did you have them in your predictions as even being in the playoffs, coach?
Winnipeg Jets,
Clearly
yeah, I
not.
put them in the playoff.
No, you didn't.
No, you didn't.
What?
I think I think
No,
I did.
after Marcus said Winnipeg, I say yes, I agree with you. They're going to be the dark horse after my Devils.
I had him as wild card team.
My mulligan guy
but-
is the Devils, by the way.
Yeah.
That's the one about that
All right,
one.
guys.
But,
This is fun, but I gotta actually jump here in a minute, guys.
so before you leave, Marco, one more for you. Coach of the year.
Coach Frenchy. Who else?
Coach of the year.
Oh,
Oh man. Okay, well, hey, let's stay with the same theme. So far, Rick Bonus, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, coming into a very tough situation in Winnipeg. Again, everybody writing them off, all the turmoil in the dressing room. Who is this old school Rick Bonus guy? Amway salesman, that's been all over the league, all that. And he comes in and institutes like a really sound system, and so far has him first in the division. So that I'd say he's a very strong contender. Lindy Ruff in the city. Speaking of veteran, guys that have been in the league since like Al Arbor was there almost just like old school coach is good old Lindsay. So he would have to be somebody that you would consider. So those would probably be my top two guys right now. What do you guys think?
I would throw Bruce Cassidy in the mix, and also Jim Montgomery. But I agree with your selections there as well. I think that they're all solid.
I have to go with Linda Ruff.
Yeah,
but
Who's in there? Who's in our
Lindy,
mix?
let's keep one thing in mind, and you and I talked about this, Coach. I made this observation a while back. Right now, New Jersey reminds me very much of what Florida was last year. And what's the connecting feature? Who was the coach of Florida last year, and who's the assistant coach in New Jersey this year? I think he brought a different aspect to that team that's allowing them to play a much more freewheeling type of game, and they have the talent and youth to pull it off, just kind of like Florida did last year. But that
main thing I see different though, main thing I see different from Florida though is, remember we were talking about how Montreal sometimes is like a mirage. Like Florida was a bit of a mirage too. Like a lot of their offense, like they came back from so many games like that they shouldn't have won. Like they were just so offensively gifted that it just wasn't sustainable in the playoffs. But to me, New Jersey, that's not really how they're playing, right? It's not like reckless
no, but
offensive hockey.
it's the
Really
style.
structured, like Carolina Hurricanes, like Rob Brindamore style, like really, really aggressive. Pace, like a lot of pace in their game, always on top of the puck. Like to me, that the most kind of impressive thing of the Devils, other than their talented players emerging, is the relentlessness of the game and how on top of and how they do the right things, right? Like the underlying numbers of their game is unreal. So it's a bit different, but I think for sure he has had a really positive impact on that team. But I don't see any parallels with how they play.
Yeah, great point for what you said, both of you, about Coach of the Year, everything like that. Just to conclude Florida and the Devils, guys. Florida, they don't have an Autry Palat as a forward, like a forechecker, like he does. Like, he's hurt, but I think they don't have. I think the defensemen of the Devils are better at what the Devils, the Florida has last season. So I think the Devils have a little bit more a better team overall. Because the Florida Panthers show up last season for the playoffs. So if they can
It's just
add
the
one more
goaltending
for
for the Devils.
secure, I think it'll be a very interesting for that team over there.
Yeah,
Just
the
the
point
goaltending to me
was
is the
that
biggest thing.
the point I was trying to make was just that Andrew Burnett has brought something to that team that they lacked before, and it's exactly in link with what Florida had last year. Not that the two teams are necessarily the same comparables here, but it's that style of play, that ability to come back from games that they're even trailing by 2 or 3, 4 goals sometimes. And I think that has to be attributable not just to Lindy Ruff, because we were talking about Coach of the Year, but I think Andrew Burnett has a lot to do with that.
Yeah, absolutely about that. Another thing I would say to you, the goal against the goal again is so much better Devils versus Panther last year. They can win the 3-0, 2-1, 3-2, everything like that. So we're going to release only Marco. So we can talk me and Atap again, Marco now, so he can go about that one, Marco.
Lots of fun, guys.
Thanks so much,
Lots of fun,
Marco.
guys. Take care,
First of all, Marco, thanks so much to take a time with us. And definitely we're going to catch up with you on the week and, of course, next week. One more time for the App Brunch. You're on the rendezvous with Marco, the co-host, guys. So have an amazing, great night, Mr. Marco.
Take care, Marco. Good night.
Good night. About that one over there. So I don't know which one is going to disappear. It's not him. It's going to be him. About that one over there. Great conversation, Mr. Enartap, about tonight. Yes. I think you have a lot of people in the chat. It was up and down. We're going to finish with the quiz, Mr. Enartap. We're going to keep you. But I want to open up something you did not know about that. I was thinking about this. We are going to announce this. First of all, because you're part of the show, we get another milestone. We reached the 6,000 yesterday, 6,000 subscriber of the Hockey Nation Live show. So congratulations.
Congratulations, Coach. Congratulations.
And it's all because a lot of people are, because of them, make that channel better. First of all, the people in the chat. Secondly, the co-hosts like you, Marco, and many others. Plus the moderator, I can go all the way like that. So they make a big, huge impact on that. By the way, we invite you. Don't forget, Tuesday night, we have a special guest, Veronica. She's in charge about the website for the Montreal Canadiens from Vancouver. She has about 10,000 subscribers. She's going to be with us at 9 o'clock Tuesday night. I'm going to give you a little bit more information. But, Mr. Natap, we have a bigger news to tell you. Two big news, Mr. Natap. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
We have the first Frenchy quiz holidays at the history, Mr. Natap. It's coming next week. And how this works, you have to be live with me. It's a team 2x2. It's going to do a tournament, Mr. Natap. We start this next week live, and I can't wait to see that, Mr. Natap. So I just want to share with this.
Do we get to choose the partners?
You have to pick a partner. Yeah. So we're going to have a deal. You have to give your, you have to subscribe like the tournament. Right, and you have to announce who is going to be your partner because you have to call a friend at some point to advance. So the template is coming very soon. I just want to mention this to you, Mr. Natap, about that one over there. But the biggest news, because it's you, about the co-host of the warm-up show. So what a minute, why you never talked about this to me? What's coming now? I know you never been nervous about my next news. I think we have to step up more people, right? And I have a good conversation with Marco yesterday, everything like that. But I have a big news, Mr. Natap, for January 2023. Are you ready?
What's the news? Go for it.
So we're not going to share the prediction we're doing. It makes sense?
Mm-hmm.
But we're going to make another kind of prediction you have to do every single week for the show at the Hockey Nation Live show. And the winner of those month of the contest about those predictions I'm talking about, like every week you're going to get who has the most point per players, or it could be the goaltender, everything like that. So we're going to be calculate everything like that. I'm going to take a shout about this. But the winner, Mr. Natap, get 2 tickets to go to any game they want to go.
Oh.
So if you live in Toronto, you want to go to the game, we're going to give you 2 tickets to get there. If you want to go to see the Marlins, we'll give you 2 tickets. You want to go to the OHL game, we're going to give you 2 tickets at your choice during not in the playoff, but during the regular season. So I just want to share with you. That's the format of this coming very soon. But this is the big news about the 2023 years coming and next month. The new prediction for the Hockey Nation Live show, for the warm-up show, and the biggest contest of the French quiz. And finally, we're going to start a French, not channel, a French show 1 time per week, Mr. Natap.
That's great. It's always a great opportunity to increase our Hockey Nation family size, and I think that that would appeal to yet another great group of individuals.
Yeah, absolutely about this. I can't wait about this. So, we're going to finishing this show. What we do at the end, Mr. Natal, we're going to do the French quiz. We're going to put you on the select on that one over there because
Again.
you'll be the only one over there. But we're going to add you
Oh
here.
no.
You're hiding right now. I think you're on number 2 right there. No, look like you're on number 1. If we go like
I'm
that, I'm
always
going to
number
drop
1, Coach.
right
I'm
there
number
beside
1.
me. So the format, Mr. Nartap, is going to be for that French quiz next week at the big holidays. It's going to be not only 4, we're going to have 8 people at the same time in the chat, Mr. Nartap.
Woo!
So it's going to be really
Amazing. Can't
interesting
wait.
about this, Mr. Nartap.
Sounds good. Sounds good. I'm looking forward to it, Coach.
Here we go, Mr. Nartap. Let's starting with the first question of the night. Here we go. We see what the people we have. There are only 2 players, Mr. Natap, from the Dallas Star and the Minnesota Wild, the Minnesota North Star team with over 13 straight games with 1 point. One of them is Brent Bellows, who is the another player have a 13 straight game a plus with the North Star. Is it Steve Payne? Is it Jude Drouin, Mike Modano, Dave Gagnon, and Neil Proden? They did this twice, by the way. All right, so 2 players did twice as a player. Who did it for them? We have some answer. RJ, thanks so much. We have Nick. Apologize for Nick. We have we need merchandise coach. Dan is coming soon. Internet, thanks so much. Alexandre Maillard, thanks so much about that. And the clock get out. We have William Snyder, Luc Lafortune. Luc Lafortune, welcome back in the house. Look, quiet man in the house tonight, William Snyder. And Mr. Nartap, what you have?
I'm going to go with Steve Payne.
Steve Payne for Mr. Nartap. Can it be in the chat? Then Mike Modano for David Robinson. Mike Modano is C. About that one there. Anybody else? Jose Duarte said C. Thanks so much, Jose. Welcome back. Another moderator of the Hockey Nation show. Do we have any other people? Look like we are done for that one. Mr. Nartap, what would be your second option?
What would be your second choice? Yeah, Neil Broughton.
Neil Broughton. All right, sound good. But if you have to go third option, what it will be?
Dave Gagne.
But you're going to get it if it was Dave Gagne, and you get it, Mr. Natap. And the winner of that one were RJ, Chicago 97, and Internet User. All 3 got the good answer with Dave Gagne, Mr. Natap. Who is the last player is not a first overall pick and have a streak of 20 games a plus with 1 point, Mr. Nartap? Who is the last player did it? We know Martin's Mitch Marner did it right now. But who is the last player did it? He was not a first round pick and he had a streak of 20 games a plus. Alexander Barkov, Ren Keslav, Marcus Naslund, Paul Stachny, or Thomas Vanek?
Oh, wow. Oh, man. That's
Chicago go with B. Thanks so much. RG go with C. Thanks so much. Dan go with C. Thanks so much, Danny. We have Alexander D. David Robinson D. Internet User B. Thanks so much. And that's what we got so far. Anybody else? Jose, if you get there, please, that would be great. Anybody can add more people. You answer, that'd be awesome. And we have William Snyder said D. Thanks so much, William Snyder. Mr. Nartap.
I got to believe... I know Getzlaf was a first. Barkov was a first. Naslund was a first. I'm going to go with Paul Stastny.
Paul Stastny for the Mr. NRTAP. Do we have any other answer? No, we don't have any answer. Oh, Luc Lafortune said E. Thanks so much. Luc Lafortune said E. We have Bill said D. Thanks so much, Bill, about that one over there. Jose said B. Thanks so much, Mr. Bill. The reason we said Paul Stastny because of what?
Well, I was just looking at who our first round picks, and I know Getzlaff was for sure, Vanek, Barkov, and I think Naslund was as well. So, and Stastny may have come. I don't think he was a first. That's the reason.
Okay.
Process of elimination.
Yeah, I understand that. I just like remember they are all first. They are all first. They are all first round, but they are not. Any of them are first round pick overall.
It says it's not a first round overall pick. So I sort of went with that idea.
It's not a first overall pick, and
not.
have a straight out 20 game.
So the only one I'm not sure about is Stastny.
Yeah. So Barkov was a second round pick, by the way, overall.
Oh, was he? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Everything like
mistake.
that. But we said to you, you have the right answer, Mr. Natap. It was Paul Stastny. So I don't know, lucky you are, but you did it right the right way about that one there. Vanek was not a first overall pick. Naslund was not. Kessler was not. I think Kessler was 6.
No.
On the
no, first round. I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about first overall. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
I got you. Okay.
That was over there. Because that was 19, by the way. So I was
Right.
wrong about that one over there. So we have Mr. Natap, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 people right now with one good answer. So everything can win. Here we go. Question number 3. How many players drafted now first overall pick, Mr. Natap, with 1,000 game, 1,000 point, and with only one team in NHL? They never been drafted a trade. They never play for any other team. Always been with the same thing, and they accomplished it, and they was a first overall pick. 5 of them, 6 of them, 7 of them, 8 of them, 9 of them. That's a good question.
Yeah, it's a great question. And I have no idea.
Chicago said B. RG said A. Alexandre Maillard said B. Thanks so much, everybody, about that one over there. I have to drop this on a bit. Joseph said B. Internet user said A. David Robinson said A. Luc Lafortune said E. We're missing a couple of people. And that's it. William Snyder, Bill, Dan Asham, I believe. We're missing. And then that's pretty much. So during that time, Mr. Nathan, we wait for other question. William Snyder said C. Thanks so much. What would be your answer, Mr. Nathan?
I can't believe it would be a high number. I'm going to go with 6.
6B, Mr. Nathan.
Yeah.
All right. We wait if we have it. This was, do we have anybody else? Jose or David Robinson, Chicago got this, everything on that. Look like we have everybody inside. Bill go with B. Thanks so, Bill, to your answer. Mr. Nathan, what would be your second option?
5, maybe A.
5. I have to go with the third option.
7? I don't think it's a high number, but maybe I'm wrong.
7 is the inside answer about that one over there. Only William Snyder, Mr. Natap, have 2 good answer about that one over there. If I gave you
William's
7 name of the one, who will be Mr. Natap? I want to say the one, but quickly on your head, what it will be those players?
I gotta believe Lemieux. Well, Gretzky was traded, so it can't be him. So it was Bork. Who else? You got to believe Dion, maybe Marcel
No,
Dion.
Dion was
No.
second behind Guy Lafleur.
Okay. Who else? It's got to be Joe Sakic, maybe as well.
Josake was not
In
a
there,
first one pick.
he was not a first round pick. Okay. Trache? Is Trache up there as well?
No. What about
No. Okay.
Gilbert Perrault?
Perot, right, with Buffalo. Yes, of course.
All
Of
right.
course.
So that's a one over there. I will move on with a bit. I will go one by one about this one over there.
Yeah.
Mario Lemieux, number 2.
Yeah. How about, well, Howard Check was on 2 teams, so that doesn't count. Luc Robitaille, was he
Alex
on just
Ovechkin,
LA?
number 3.
Right.
Sidney Crosby, number 4.
Oh, yes. How could I forget Sydney?
Steven Stamkos, number 5. Right?
Yeah.
We have Patrick Kane for the Chicago
Patrick Kane.
Blackhawks.
Well, that'll end this year.
But that's what we have under the one over there. So I missed
Yeah,
one when
that's
I go
good.
all the way up and down, but you have 7 players and missing a tap for that one over there. So I just want to share it with you. The name can
Yeah.
pop up very quickly on my head. So good answer about that one over there. We'll move on to question number 4 of the night, Mr. Natap.
Let's do it.
Oh my God! Most game with 5 point a plus since the start of the season 2021-2022 NHL. Who has the most game point with 5 a plus per game per one game? Is it McKinnon, Forsberg, McDavid, Skinner, or Panarin?
Most game with 5 points since the start of, we're talking about just this year, okay, or last year.
Yeah.
That 21, 22.
Yeah. Here we go. We have Chicago said E, Panarin. Internet go C, and then we're RJ with Panarin again. McDavid is up right here. Will be interesting what the people has to tell us. Jose said A. William Snyder said C. Alexandre Mayer said C. Thanks so much about this one. Only William Snyder have 2 good answers, guys, in the beginning of the show so far. Luke Laforcine go with A. David Robinson go with B. Mr. Natap.
I will go with, I'll go with Panarin.
Panarin for Mr. Natap about that one. Then we wait if our other people give us an answer about this. Internet, Alexandre Mayer, we got you. Jose Duarte, we have William and Natap. William Snyder. William Snyder gave us an answer. I don't think so. William Snyder, if you're around.
Yeah, he did. He gave us C, I think.
I don't see that.
Yeah, it's right after Jose's answer, I believe.
We have William Snyder. You're absolutely right about this. And Dan said C about that, right? I apologize for that. Mr. Natap, what will be your second option? Oh my God!
Is it Connor McDavid?
Connor, you said your third option.
Here we go again, right? McKinnon.
But, you know,
Your
look like
fourth
three
option.
answers go you a good average tonight, Mr. Natap. The answer is Nathan McKinnon. Now, Mr. Bill, tied again with William Snyder. Jose Duarte, one good answer. Dan Asham, one good answer. Luc Lafortune find a way to score one goal. And we have about 12 other people, Mr. Natap, with one good answer. So the game is still on inside. We can maybe tie the game, but only one can win alone. It could be William Snyder or Bill or both of them, or people can die the game is not tap. So we'll see what's happening.
Okay, let's do it.
Here we go. Last
Bad
one
night,
of the night,
bad night.
Mr. Natap. Who is ranking third with the most empty net goal in NHL? Is it Egenla, Lemieux, Ovechkin, Coury, or Usa? We know already, Wayne Gretzky is number one. Who is the ranking number third in NHL? Egenla, Lemieux, Ovechkin, Coury, or Usa? This is very important. Chicago go with Marian Usa. Thanks so much, Chicago. RJ go with B. Thanks so much, RJ. Internet go with B. Mario Lemieux for Internet user. Thanks to be with us tonight, Mr. Internet. They are the only four. Oh, we pick up now. Jose Duarte said C. Luc Lafortune go with B. I'm still waiting for Bill, and I'm still waiting for David Robinson, William Snyder. Alexandre Maillard go with C. That's good. Thanks so much about that one over there. Mr. Natap, the time we wait for the other answer. What would be your answer tonight?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Ovechkin. I'll go with C.
David Robinson said A. Bill said C. Reggie said B. About this, David Robinson, William Snyder, and would be interesting about that one there. Mr. Natap, you said who?
Ovechkin, C.
Ovechkin. But what would be your second option? Because Ovechkin was
Really?
you foul and what I was trying to do, because Ovechkin is the number 2 and the ranking after. He's the only one with Wayne Gretzky, number 2.
Oh, I didn't read it. I didn't read it well. My bad. Oh, I was looking for number 2. Yeah, it's got to be third on that list. Then I would probably say Hossa.
But oh my God! You're going to get it if you was read the question properly, because it's number 3 is Marian Usa, guys, and Mr. Chicago Bear 97 tied the game tonight, Mr. with William Snyder and Bill. All 3 are the winner of the contest tonight, and congratulations about that for the game tonight. Dan Asham just pop up with an E. Dan is a winner too. I know he said, did he cheat? No, Dan is internet is always behind Mr. Natap. So
it's in Winnipeg. The weather is really bad over there.
Yeah, so I don't know. He's stuck. It's freeze a lot in Winnipeg. So maybe the time to carry on from one post to another post, they go back to Thailand. Make a little bit longer, Mr. Natap, about that one over there. But yeah, it was Ovechkin, number 252. He's the only 2 player with empty net with over 50, and Wayne Gretzky 56, and then Ovechkin 51, 52, Mr. Natap. So
yeah.
So that's a great finishing on that show over there. We're going to go back because I feel like you look better on that right here inside of your ornament, Mr. Natap. I think it was great to see that tonight. Those kind of
ornament. It's a very nice touch, Coach.
Yeah, I think it was pretty good to see that. We are still in that at the time of the fight, time to holidays. Chicago, William Snyder, Bill, and Dan Asham are the winner of this one over there. Any comments you want to mention, Mr. Natap, before we leave the building tonight? A lot of great show tonight. I think it's fun to do those kind of show. And honestly, I forgot to mention the Hockey National Show will be really active with the World Junior Championship. One reason, because Montreal Canadiens have 7 to 8 players, Mr. Natap, so I forgot to mention that.
No, that'll be very exciting this year. The talent is off the charts for sure. And congratulations to our winners tonight.
That's awesome, Mr. Natal. We want to thank Bill. Hopefully see you again. That'd be great. Mr. Uber, trade Amir for some chicken wings. That's the best way to finish this night. We forgot to trade Amir for chicken wings at the Casual Spa. Mr. Natal tonight. Thanks so much, Mr. Natal, to be with us tonight. Thanks so much, Marco Larabi. But the most important thing, Mr. Natal, it was the people in the chat that makes always that show fun to do. And what a great night. What a great way to start the week. We'll go see you tomorrow night, Mr. Natal, with 6 o'clock p.m. for the prediction of the game we have in the program. Then we're going to show the leaderboard. We'll see. I did not look the result of Friday night. By the way, I give you a game because I took Anaheim versus San Jose. So, time the holidays, why not to give a free game to Mr. Natap about that one. But one thing we have to remind you, Mr. Natap. Not that one, but this one.
Awesome. You are amazing. You are the best. And remember, you have greatness inside of you.
Yes, you have greatness inside of you, Mr. Natap. I can wait to see you tomorrow night. Until then, we want to remind everybody, be well, be healthy. Find a way not only dominate your day, find a way to dominate the second app of what?
You're 2022.
You're absolutely right, Mr. Natap. 2022. Yes, Dan, we're going to do that one over there. Good night, everybody. I can wait to see you tomorrow night, Mr. Natap. Good night.
Good night, Hockey Nation. Good night, Coach.
Salut mon Régent. Have a good night, Alexandre Maillard, William Snyder, Bill, RJ, all the moderators. Thanks so much. Good night. Oh.